All right, e4 players. Start with, start with e6. Definitely made it easier in this case. Oh, look at my Stonewall setup. It's already, it's almost done. So bishop d6, tempting, but after castle, knight f6, rook e1. It's a little bit annoying. So I'm definitely going to start with the move knight f6. I'm not sure what he's going to do. I don't want to play bishop d6 and knight e7. My knight on e7 is just so bad, right? I can't get to my desired e4 square. Now, he's come with the move knight h4. He's pressuring my f5 pawn. To me, g6 is a very simple answer to this. If that pawn was on d4, I might maybe think twice about it, just because there's bishop g5 to consider. I would still ultimately play it, but the fact that there's no bishop coming out means knight h4 is not that scary at all. Right, this is pretty much the ideal pawn structure for knight e4 to happen. I mean, this is just great. Wouldn't be surprised if knight e4 here, which does uncover attack on the knight, is actually just a great move. But you'll notice that his move queen f3 actually doesn't really do anything. Like, doesn't threaten anything. So even the moves that he is playing are not actually that threatening. So bishop d6, for example, I like because it actually just develops a piece and threatens the castle. Knight e4 is tempting, but I think a little bit more in the spirit of the Stonewall is get developed. I mean, we're not scared of any sacrifices here. I assumed he was going to do it, but I'm not really scared of them. I can castle, and nothing's really going to stop my knight from going to e4. Bishop takes, queen takes. I'm definitely going to throw a check in here. He has nothing to block it with. After the king moves, I have to deal with rook e1, but my plan is to castle, so I'm kind of dealing with it just like that. So it's almost like if I played knight e4 earlier, he wouldn't have sat, and I wouldn't be up a piece right now. I had to let whatever's happening right now happen, because this is how we get the extra piece. So knight e4 right now uncovers an attack on the queen, which is why it looks particularly attractive. Knight e4, queen g4, and then, for example, you know, I move my king out of the way, and I would be threatening knight takes f2. So definitely like knight e4 here, because the sacrifice doesn't do anything. And okay, moving the queen is fine, but white's got 0 pieces developed, so I think we can be slightly aggressive. I mean, this was really about as good of a Stonewall as you could get, right? I had the pawns like this, with the knight going to e4. There has never been a more supported knight than there would have been in that position. Okay, it's gone d3. I think we know this. This does blunder something there. Taking looks good, but to open things even more and actually make some serious threats, I'm going to do this. Okay, how do we make threats towards this king? That bishop is loose, so the moves I'm mainly considering are this and this. This one sort of threatens b2 and queen d4. This one threatens some checks in this pawn. I guess I like this one a little bit better. It's a close call. And start picking up pawns here. Knight d7. This one does look like it's just going to be a slower kind of victory. here, rook b1 here. I mean, at that point, we're just pawn grabbing, which is not really the worst thing. Let's go here. If king c1, maybe there's bishop a3. Goes here, knight e5. I'm just going to bring the rest of my pieces into the attack. I think we could get it done probably with just the rook and the queen, but this is a little bit more convincing. King c2, knight c4. Bishop d4 has a very quick answer. And otherwise, knight takes bishop, followed by bishop f4. It's just going to trade more and more pieces off the board. And I think this move will be the beginning of the end for my opponent, because now almost every single piece is going to fly off the board here. GG. GG. That game was 21 moves. Like I said, the Stonewall does usually get some pretty quick wins. So this was just really helpful. I think you guys can appreciate this was like 3 really bad moves from my opponent in a row. Bishop c4, bad. Bishop b5, bad. And bishop d3, also bad because it blocks that d-pawn. So none of white's opening moves were very good. Knight h4, also not good. Queen f3, also not good. Knight f5, also not good. So if he didn't sacrifice and maybe castled, we would have castled and put our knight here. And this was sort of like, you know, this is how I could imagine the game going if he didn't sacrifice, which is a Stonewall's dream, right? Knight e4, that bishop can't develop. Any capture, we take with the f pawn. We got bishops pointing, knights hanging on h4. Everything works out really well here. So yes, he sacrificed, and yes, the game just ended because of a few tactics and hanging queens and whatnot, but I think it was really over just out of the opening. It was just a really bad sequence of moves from white to start off the game. All right. d4. So e3. And when I see knight here to maybe threaten e5, to me it's time to play this. Okay, I have my setup. I do like to play c3 pretty much right after I play this, if possible, because knight b4 can be annoying. Now, I've mentioned this before, but knight d2, not knight f3, but knight d2 to stop knight e4. And again, if you just sort of flip the board to my opponent's perspective, you can see that's not a move. That's not a move. Right? They start to run out of ideas. Like maybe he'll do this and this, but white's play is easy. Black has no pawn breaks. Like that pawn is blocked by the knight. This pawn can't move. This bishop only has that square. So I feel like black is about to get killed by knight e5. Just a Stonewall's dream. Black feels very planless. And most importantly, when they see this knight coming in, they're not allowed to match that energy by putting a knight on our e4 square because we set our pieces up to prevent that. Let's play queen e2. We'll guard that pawn. He did actually make a threat there. h3 will boot this knight out, and knight e5 will essentially essentially force the issue with this knight here. So I like h3. I like knight e5. I'm a little bit conflicted. I think it's also worth pointing out bishop h7, king h7, knight g5, king g8, queen takes g4. The reason I'm not screaming about this move is because of f6. The knight goes back to f3, and then e5. And my queen's under attack there from the bishop. He's about to take pawns in the center. The rook is there, and I'm in this position at the end of that line where I'm faced with pawns like that. I have two knights, a bad bishop, no light squared bishop, and my queen's under attack with black having the initiative. Now, I'm not saying my 800 opponent is going to find all that, but I can definitely tell you that it's not too exciting to allow that. Like, that doesn't feel like I'm cashing in here. If I just play knight e5 and castle, I feel like I'll have a better shot at a good position, rather than playing bishop takes h7 and knight g5. And if I start with knight g5, he does have knight back to f6, so that's why I didn't want to do that. And yeah, as expected, knight e5 has yielded a very good result, which is an extra piece in a second. He decides to take. So we're up a piece now, and again, queen h5 is nice to hit two things, but he does have f5, annoying move, which blocks both. So I'm actually going to start this tactic by taking check first, and then going queen h5, which is the only way it'll work. But we're up a piece now. That's all because of that knight on e5. Typical Stonewall. And yeah, he's going for f6 e5, and guess what? He even has decent compensation in this position. And it's not actually enough compensation, but it's decent. Imagine if he wasn't even down a piece. This is what the bishop takes h7 line was going to be like. Knight f3 threatens all sorts of moves there. I do like e4 though, just because it opens up the bishop. Takes, there's, I mean, knight takes e5, also knight g5. I think I'm going to play knight f3 rather than getting greedy and going for queen takes pawn. I'm just going to try to involve my pieces. I have an extra piece, so if I don't start using it, it's not going to feel very good. King there. Although queen g7 exists, knight takes e5 looks far more destructive. Bishop g5 plus queen e5 as well. And I think if I go here, okay, the king moves, but if we start by taking this, I'm wondering if we have a mate, because king there, queen takes there leads to mate, next move. And if the bishop blocks, we still have that move available. So queen takes e5 looks like the right way to go. And I think this works out a little bit better than if I had gone bishop g5 initially. Get an extra pawn, lots of good things. Very nice. Another 25 move win. I'm telling you, they're quick. GG. I do think it's kind of relevant here, this bishop takes h7 line. It's just not for me. It's not the worst, but just want to like point out, because I think it's kind of instructive. I haven't seen the other variation, but if I flick the evaluation on just for a sec, I'm sure. Oh, we'll wait and see. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think it won't be as good. I think it won't be as good as the line that I played. Just allows a lot of counterplay, even though it wins a pawn. Hey, we got a brilliant move in here. Go us. All right, so we got our setup here. Right, so we played 95. So I'm curious. Analysis. Let's get the eval on for just a sec. Yeah, so funny enough, after rook e8, bishop takes h7 is not even in the top, like, it's not even suggested here. So if we do take, I'm wondering what they're gonna call it. Maybe an inaccuracy. So brilliant, 1.72. Let's just wait and see. Knight g5. Yeah, okay. This is kind of funny. So you see how the eval is actually going down. 0.78. And by the time I take the knight and black plays f6, 0.27. I don't know. Basically, it's telling me to play h4 and sack the piece. I'm not sure I even believe it anymore. So after f6, and you can see what I mean. If you go back and black plays e5, hopefully you get my point. It's like nearly -3, -2, -3. White's essentially lost from winning that pawn. Now you can play h4, but I'm seeing lines that don't convince me. 0.63, and that's if I sack a piece, right? I mean, I just don't buy that. That looks like trash. So you're telling me that you want to take my position earlier, which was +1 at least, and play bishop takes h7, right? And you're going to give me a brilliancy while giving me a worse engine eval and forcing me to sack another piece down the line? It's like, huh? Actually, bishop takes h7 is a brilliancy. It's brilliant to have a worse evaluation. So I just think in the Stonewall, you have to be a little careful what little morsels you go and try to win with this light squared bishop, because if you end up in a position without that bishop on the board, even at the cost of a pawn, or even gaining a pawn along the way, sometimes it's not worth it. Like, your light squares are just really weak, and if you don't have this light square bishop, especially if they still do, it can be an annoying position. So that was particularly funny because it says brilliant and then it gives an eval of 0.3. So yeah, bishop takes h7, not that trustworthy. I certainly think it's basically a mistake. We went knight e5 and we won. And now, are we gonna get a brilliancy for this? No. And now bishop takes h7 when it's actually okay. And it actually wins a pawn and simplifies material. You're not gonna give me a brilliancy. I mean, this is ridiculous. Actually, when you win a pawn and you're up material, it's a mistake. But when you ruin your advantage and give away your light squared bishop and have to sack a piece after in order to stay in the game, it's a brilliancy. I'm getting trolled. Of course, I'm gonna make the argument, and I think the engine supports it, that knight e5 is just better than bishop h7. Because black's best move might even be sacking the piece the way that he did. Like, if you're just going back, knight f6, you're gonna get killed in this position. Castle, maybe g4, g5, rook lift. This is, I mean, we've talked about these Stonewall positions a lot. This would be over. But bishop takes h7, I think we want to stay away from. So here it is, live and direct. Your teacher telling you not to play moves that the engine deems brilliant. Because I actually would call this a mistake. Now, d4, we don't need to be playing e6, we just go straight for d5. Here, I don't like to play c6 because remember, in the center, the whole point is to take back that way. So I'm definitely going to be playing pawn to e6. I see knight there, and immediately, because I don't really want that to happen, I'm going to play the move f5. At f3, let's just make sure to achieve the desired setup. Always capture this way. Don't get tempted into that. Bishop here, I'm not particularly annoyed by. Remember, I'm not taking with the knight because I want the knight on e4. So, okay, goes e3. Now I have a decision to make. Obviously, I want my knight on e4. We get that. I want a castle. We know that. What I also want to do is I want to stop knight e5. So knight d7 comes to mind here. Definitely. But after knight d7, bishop d3, and then it's like if I play knight f6, suddenly this pawn is hanging. And if I move my knight, well, takes that square and gives up that. It doesn't make sense. So I think what we want to do is just bring the knight out first. There's nothing I can do to really stop that move from happening. I think I'll castle. And I think I will praise myself for not playing knight d7. Genius. Okay, he's brought the knight in. We'll go kick the knight with knight d7. I mean, we can't let that guy sit there for free. Now he's setting up the Stonewall, and he's feeling real good about himself. But the problem is, my friend, is that you've set everything up while you're down a piece. It's not gonna work. I can just trade for this knight, and I just have an extra bishop here, so it's should be a very smooth conversion now. Take that knight. He's got no pieces, like he's only got major pieces. And queen b4 check. He's cut off here. Would not be surprised to see it checkmate in a couple moves here. Alright, well that's gonna be mate next turn. You've only got a couple moves to stop it. And when I say stop it, I really mean just prolong the inevitable. But yeah, this did not go well for my opponent. I mean, just giving up a bishop for free there. Nothing much to it. People look at the Stonewall, they think it's got all these, you know, mistakes, weaknesses, problems with it. Now, get these quick wins as a result. GG. I really wish he didn't take here because I was looking forward to how this game might have turned out. But I thought what was likely was that he might have played this. I might have followed up with knight e4. He might realize like this is bad, of course, and maybe taken with the bishop. And after knight e5, we would have played knight d7. Takes, and this is a great attacking position. Black's about to play queen g5, bishop h3, rook f6, rook f8, and that alone, maybe plus an h-pawn, is probably enough to have some serious, like, nearly game-winning threats on the board. So he ended up taking, which made things very easy. But I was saying here, I want to prevent knight e5, so of course I was tempted by knight d7. But then I see a move like this, and I'm like, okay, I can't really do this, which is what I want to do. g6 I can play, but it's a lot, you know, to do all this just to stop that. I don't think it's unreasonable. Of course, at the higher levels, I would say these are just kind of moves wasting time. I would just get the knight in. But at the lower levels, it might be very effective to just stop that move and then take all the necessary precautions in order to make your knight e4 move like emphatic. Like by the time you get a knight e4, it's going to be winning. Game over. So I wish we could have kept playing the game, but got a quick win in there. We got the white pieces now. We're going to start with d4. Again, I like to go e3, and as soon as e5 is a threat, I'll just Get that out there. Stop bishop f5. Again, it's not the end of the world if my opponent plays it first. I'll still go bishop d3 and maybe we'll trade. But if I can get there ahead of time, then I think it's kind of nice. All right, here, let's play knight d2. Again, I like to control that square early. Bishop there, we're gonna castle. I assume we'll castle this way, but no. Actually brings the bishop to f5, which is exciting. We don't get to see this very much. Because the pawn's gonna take, and you know, even though I've been allowing this, I have to say, this structure against the Stonewall is truly the worst possible. Because black gets to enjoy the e4 square for his piece, and if we put our knight there, they can kick us out with f6. So they're kicking us out of a great square while having a great square themselves. It's the worst of every world. So although I've been kind of allowing this, playing knight e5, they essentially take and I win a piece. Truly, in these positions, if I want to be like a little more mindful, I would actually defend this bishop rather than take. So queen e2 I like, but I don't love. And that's because it allows knight e4. Queen c2 I like a little better because it stops that. So if you want to take, go ahead. Right? And you see how I keep controlling the e4 square. So I'm not letting him play that move. I think is a big deal. The more that you can control the e4 square, and now I can use the e5 square. I think this is just a big asset. There's no pin anymore, right? My queen's not there. So now we go here, and again, this is what I was mentioning. People are so desperate to use that e4 square. It will pay dividends just covering it ahead of time, right? People want to use it so much. They see you use the e4 square there. I'll go ahead and take this now, but man, if I didn't take that e4 knight right there, I just would have felt bad. It's so rewarding. It's like I will sit there and I'll leave mountains hanging in order to take back on e4. Because it just validates my entire strategy. It just makes me feel good. It's like, okay, you've done it right, son. It's like, honestly speaking, would I rather have a position where I've taken on e4, or would I rather have a position like this? I can't play the move because we're in the game. But let's imagine knight takes bishop, f5. And it's like, I'm up a piece, but the guy gets to achieve d5, knight e4, f5. He should never be able to achieve that. Should never. Right? That's exactly what I'm here to prevent. So by taking, of course, we're making a statement. And he plays this odd move here, which allows me to actually do both. Take the pawn in the middle and take the piece. So kind of friendly by him. Doesn't even play f5. He just plays bishop h4. So all in all, this has been a rather friendly opponent. And this has worked out really well once again. We'll bring our knight back to the middle. This bishop is very sidelined here, not really up to anything. Yeah, and let's go ahead and take now. Probably take with the knight here. G3 might be not the craziest move to throw in case he gets tempted by this. He'll lose a piece. Yeah, so he goes back. Now I'm actually thinking that he's about to take there. I almost don't want to. I don't want to ruin it, you know? It's like I want to let him take. So despite a free pawn here, let's play queen c2 and make a threat and just let him, exactly, just give him enough rope to hang himself with. It's very important. You just have to trust that your opponent is going to do that. The Stonewall knight on e5 is so damn annoying It's like, I don't even blame people when they take it and blunder pieces. Okay, we got in there, we picked his pocket, we got out. Now I can see my opponent doing this, so I'm definitely interested in this diagonal. Bishop d2, it looks like I'm just developing up to nothing. Actually, I'm making the biggest threat possible on the chessboard, and damn it, he saw it. It's not gonna stop me from continuing. Bishop c3 is a great move. These bishops are doing something nasty there. Thinking about rook h4 next. Jack. Just so much firepower here in these positions. Let's take Jack. Check. And you'll notice that the black king doesn't have any square to continue defending the queen, so. All right, GG. GG, good battle there. I probably want to highlight this moment the most because we've had this at some of the lower elo games, even when we were starting out 400 or 500. And I just want to point out that this is quite frustrating. Takes. Yeah, we can bring a knight in here, but okay, our opponent castles, whatever. They go here, let's say. It's not even the best move, but let's say they go here. Takes, and they're going to play f6 to kick us out. And let's say we have to take. These positions, we just don't really have any edge. We don't, like, you know, like they have a pawn on e4. They're going to play f5. Like, there's just nothing going on here. It's kind of boring. So it's important when this move happens that we don't allow these double pawns. Another way it could be kind of bad is like this knight could move, let's say maybe to d7. Again, not saying this is the best, but knight d7 and then f6. And this is the idea of like, they keep us out of e5. We just have a horrible weakness on e3 and we'd never play our knight d5 anymore. I don't like this. So I'm trying to stay away from this stuff as much as possible. And after this, queen e2 is a great move, but queen e2 allows knight e4 and I don't like this move. Again, it's like, why am I allowing this pawn to be here? And God forbid I go like, I don't know, let's just say king here. Takes, and f5. And I just don't really think I have any serious advantage here. These positions are kind of meh, which is why I don't like allowing knight e4. So I think queen c2 is necessary here to stop that move. So much so that you can see here, after I got my knight d5, he felt compelled to play knight e4 even though it's completely losing. Just works really well. All right, with the white pieces, we'll go d4, e3. This is our follow-up move. Just getting there ahead of time. Not a big deal, but okay, knight there. That's our cue for sure to play f4. All right, let's go c3. Kind of an important move to stop knight b4. And again, knight d2. All right, not knight f3. Good move, but not great. Knight d2. Stop knight e4 for good. We've got a great pawn structure. Black has no pawn pushes. This position you see a lot, and I swear it's so winning for white. Like, I don't know how black doesn't lose this game in 20 moves, because our knight goes to e5. They don't have knight e4. I just see absolutely zero ideas for black. Okay, they're already moving their bishop like 2 times in the opening. Let's pay no attention and bring our knight in. Okay, bishop d7. Well, guess what? You still can't castle if you're my opponent because the queen is in the way. So maybe my castling this way will cause him to castle this way, which is like, you know, okay, I did it, you can do it, it's nice and safe. But knight e5 after that is still gonna have some pretty serious attacking chances, and there you go. That's why we put our knight here, guys. I'm telling you, people are desperate to play knight e4. I mean, they just have no moves. It's completely dead, their position. So they're so desperate, they're willing to give up a pawn. That's fine with me. Okay, h6 has been played. I love the move e4 as a follow-up. I mean, it's always going to be a really good move. So I'm going to start with e4, get rid of my weak pawn. Takes. The bishop is great in both directions. And my next move is probably going to be knight e5. I don't know what my opponent is up to here, quite honestly. It's a serious move there. Well, I'm gonna probably start by taking this because I just want to open the bishop even more. Of course, the pawn will take back, but then let's plop the knight in. Right, this is what this opening is all about. Take with the f pawn, and I got queen h5 check. I got a loose pawn here. You know, f4, queen h5, for example. Yeah, there's bishop here, there's queen here. A lot of very good follow-ups. Check. Guess what our next move is going to be after king there? Of course, we're not waiting for anybody to get developed, to get to safety. No, we're sacking the bishop on f4. Not bishop c4, bowler. You know, bishop e8. I think black is actually still fighting pretty well there. King there, bishop g6 after, but bishop f4. This should be over. Over under on brilliancy. That's a good question. You guys think bishop f4 is going to be brilliancy? I think it's a sacrifice and it's winning, but the problem that I have is that bishop f4 it might be the best move in the position. So I'm not sure we're going to get credit there. All right, well, all we need to do is move this bishop and we can give a check to our opponent. So we should naturally move it in the most destructive way possible. Bishop here. And we have a nice mate there. Under 20 moves. Good game. I think most people are in agreement that's probably not a brilliancy. I probably have to agree. Wow. A brilliant move. Well, it's gotta be bishop f4, right? I don't think there's any... I think knight d2 deserves a brilliancy, by the way. Knight d2 deserves a brilliancy. So let's have a look. Bishop takes f4 is brilliant. Let's check the analysis. Oh, I missed that. That's why it was brilliant. Because it wasn't the best move. I thought bishop f4 was not going to be brilliancy because it was the best move. But it wasn't the best move, which fits our criteria. So that's why it's a brilliancy, because rook takes f4 is actually better. So that's why... Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It has to be a sacrifice. Has to still be in your favor. The evaluation still has to be in your favor. But it can't be the best move. So this makes sense. So bishop takes f4. Brilliant. Got it. I am surprised by rook takes f4. This is a strong looking move for sure. I think while I see this and I can see that it would be winning, I'm mostly surprised that this move is not also winning. By just as much, if not more. So is rook takes brilliant too or no? Well, I think this really defines the algorithm on chess.com. Do you guys think rook takes f4 is a brilliancy? Because I'll be honest with you. It should not be a brilliancy. It is the best move in the position. If we follow the algo, it should not be brilliant. It shouldn't. But do you think it will get a brilliant tag? I mean, why would it get a brilliancy? It's the best move. Congratulations, you played the best move. No one cares. We have to recalibrate the system. Every move is brilliant. As long as you sack a piece, it's brilliant. Is that the formula? What is it, chess.com? Let me know. So I know how to get brilliancies in my games. Do I just have to sack a piece? Is that it? Is the Jerome just brilliancy after brilliancy? All right. We're going to start with d4. E3. We see that move. I mean, say it with me. We should all know it by now. We see this. And again, I've been mentioning, like, my opponents can be playing this, and it's no problem. I'm going to play bishop d3. But if they don't play it, then I'll take the opportunity to go bishop d3 myself ahead of time. So they played the move e6. And you'll notice that this move order that my opponent has chosen is a lot smarter. Previously, I had pawn here, knight here, and when bishop there was played, I played queen c2. Not really possible here. So we're going to start with knight f3. I'm going to get castled, but remember, I don't want to take this. I don't want to allow that. That is the worst structure against the Stonewall, like, just that I could possibly have. We'll castle. And you'll notice I can't really set all that up with queen c2 very easily, right? There's no way I can play this move and this move to allow queen c2 to happen, right? It's just not possible. So black has probably set things up in the best way against how I'm playing specifically with bishop d3. Because now knight d2, which I do like, by the way, we get a pawn on d3. And the reason why that's good is the same reason why this is good for black. Right? Here, black controls e4 and has another pawn to control e5. Here, we take back and we have this pawn controlling e4 and these pawns controlling e5. So it's just like a nice way to control the central square. So knight d2, I'm actually hoping that my opponent takes, because then I have this d pawn to control pretty much the only weakness in the position. So I'm hoping we see this, but there's no guarantee. Again, he could just castle. And if he castles, I can't play c3 and queen there. I can play queen here, but it's not the same thing. So he castles. I think it's time for our knight. I think it's time for our knight. You know, just put that knight in there. We'll see how he takes it. Of course, we're going with the f pawn. Of course. All right, knight into e4. Now, I'm definitely thinking about knight takes. Bishop takes as well is tempting, but I'll start with knight takes because if he takes with the pawn, I don't mind moving backwards. I'll have the two bishops in that case. And while this bishop looks bad, there's still some hope on this side of the board for it. And if bishop takes, I would happily trade it. So yeah, let's save this bishop. You can see how well I still like my position. Black is definitely in a spot that is a little bit better than where he usually is, because he was able to get that knight into e4. That's why I work so hard to develop my pieces to prevent knight e4. It's all about preventing that move. If you can prevent it, you're doing well. You're doing well. Okay, queen g5. Well, you could say there's a little bit of an idea there. Bishop h3. It's not really a dangerous plan because we have rook f2, so it doesn't do that much. But it's still, like, it's still needs some attention, put it that way. So after this, I'm definitely thinking of king h1. I'm also thinking, okay, rook d8 is coming, and there's probably going to be a pin and some questions to answer there. So I'm just going to play c3, just complete our Stonewall position here. And bishop there. I'm going to play rook f2. And otherwise, I'm going to maybe consider our bishop maneuver. The other thing I like is our queen maneuver. Queen e1 out to g3, for example. So bishop d2. Queen f2. All right. Everybody is coming over here. Like, the party is happening on this side of the board. With so many threats here, I'm definitely going to sidestep my king because that deals with every single threat all at once. Bishop d2, queen here. Maybe rook g1, for example. Okay, f6, it's like not even a discussion. We're immediately and automatically taking that. After rook takes, I am definitely interested in move like queen g3. Trade the queens and also threaten g4, which surprisingly will win a piece afterwards. But bishop d2 is like, that's my other move that I know is kind of a guarantee. But I like queen g3. I think it's very strong. Takes, g4 is nearly unstoppable. I say nearly. There's a few ways out of it. Very tempting move, but I think he's understanding the danger here in g4. All right, rook there, g4. This was my plan, saying that, hey, your bishop is now boxed in on every single diagonal. After I would say, not only a great opening, but a great middle game as well. Mike on 760. Finally with a little blunder there. Here we go. We do have an extra piece, which means my plan is now going to be to trade for that knight and just be up a piece. No one can resist the check. No one can resist the check. Maybe c4 to just kind of help us out here. Maybe here. We have to hope for b6. I think b5 is a little more natural, but we have to put ourselves in positions where checkmate may follow. All right, let's set up the mate. Rook d7, and oops, my bishop. We've got him covered here. Now, he's gonna get mated whether he likes it or not. A tremendous move by my opponent. Looking to have that square available, but guess what? I'm gonna sit here, my friend, and I'm gonna force you to take my bishop. Please take it. Good game, good game. I mean that. I think he really played a good opening. Gave us a new look at why things are not so easy to set up. Right? Bishop f5 and e6, and trust me, you want to avoid this. You do not want that structure. Okay, so another thing we learned is, hey, we don't mind this structure. That's definitely okay. Pawn comes to d3, guards e4. That's more than okay. Our knight gets in e5, good stuff. But still, the way that he played definitely made things very, very comfortable for himself here. you know, and I still think white's doing fine here, but nothing crazy. Just a small advantage, 2 bishops. So thought he really played well there. We start with d4. I'm gonna go with e3 as a follow-up. And for the first time, we see a totally different look. If you bring your bishop out, you will find this move very annoying. So guess what? I have to play this move because I gotta get my knight to f3. But I like it. We're seeing a different look here. Bishop to b7. Interesting stuff. Okay, bishop d3. Let's, again, stick with our system here. We got d5 played, which means I'm definitely interested in knight to d2. Trying to stop that. c3. We've got, even though it started a little bit interesting, we've now got exactly what we're looking for once again. Castle. And there is a little bit of a difference. And I'm going to point it out right now. When that bishop was on d7 before, I played knight e5, takes, and I mean, I've got this square covered. Great. If I play knight e5 now, it looks like takes, the knight can't go here, but the bishop's on b7. So you actually can. Right? The bishop is eyeballing that square. So knight e5, takes, knight e4 is not going to be as good for me as you might think. Because the bishop, pawn takes back, it's well defended on e4. Not really going to win it. So knight e5 here is actually not super intriguing for me. So the moves that I'm looking at are basically these 3 queen moves. I'm also considering e4, but I think it's better to support it with the queen. So either queen here or here with the idea of e4. And then my queen gets to e4. Nice position, knight e5 coming. This move also flexible for this. Or queen c2 to absolutely cover that square. And then play knight e5. The only thing that sucks about queen c2, it's all good, covers this, hits this pawn, great. But queen c2, after we go here, we'd love to have that queen over on that side of the board. That's the part that I don't really like. Is like, queen c2 feels great, does everything I want for the next couple moves, but then down the line, I want it on the other side of the board. So, it's like we can play knight e5 after queen c2, maybe g4, g5, but it does look a little short-term in nature. So I'm torn. I like queen c2. I think queen c2 will have the highest chance of working out right now, but I don't think it's the best way to play. I think objectively, I do like queen e1 better. Playing e4, playing knight e5, and going from there. But I think there's a few things to showcase. We've seen queen e1 a lot. Let's look at queen c2. It's probably the most queen-sidey move I will ever play in a Stonewall. Like, this is like as far as you'll see me go. Queen b3, it start to feel funny over there. Okay, knight there doesn't really threaten anything. So I'm gonna get my knight in. Remember, this is covered. That's why I played queen c2. Hey, at least we got some value out of that move. I mean, not the biggest value, but we won a pawn. It's exactly why we put that piece there. Didn't want to let it happen. All right, takes, and takes this way is going to be just fine. Not concerned about that. Let's just develop. Now, I kind of played this on purpose because I knew I was ready to sack this pawn. Definitely not a decision you have to make here, but I think the pawn's kind of irrelevant because I have dreams of something a little bit different. I have attacking dreams. Queen here, bishop there, maybe a rook lift. I think good things can happen to white here. Now, bishop f6 takes king h8. We're not quite winning there. Not quite winning. Rook f3 definitely gives me good vibes because we know we want to double up. Plus rook g3 or rook h3 looks like very, very strong. So rook f3 I think is tremendous here. I think this is a good start. Knight here. It does kind of have a threat attached to it, so we can't totally discount that. That being said, I just don't see a way that this doesn't win. You know? Here, I'm like, okay. Takes, got it. And then takes king there, rook there, right? So I'm gonna go ahead with bishop f6. Because I'm starting to threaten that. And I had a feeling he would be interested in that move. I definitely did. So now, I think we just go queen g4 and slowly bring the house down. As tempting as it is to play rook g3 there, knight takes e4 and knight takes f6 was possible. So this is a check. So I have to react to it. And now we have a mate threat. He's got to play this. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to go make another mate threat. And even though it's, you know, a very slow moving death, it's kind of unstoppable. I actually made a comment in a previous Stonewall stream that when you're trying to checkmate someone on this square and you have queen and bishop, if you have a bishop here and a queen here, I mean, that's okay. But having a bishop here and then your queen on this side, that's lethal. Like that is the best possible combo you can have. Of course, having either one is very, very good for white, but the bishop is just so much better here because it actually digs into your opponent's position on e7 and d8. And with the queen on h6, you have other ideas like mate on h8, sacking on h7, like so many other moves. So I think it's a nasty pattern to keep in mind here. GG. You wonder if it was also winning. Well, the thing is, in this position, if I play bishop f6, what I was looking at was bishop f6, maybe takes. And if I take, there's king h8, and the rook goes like that. What I wanted was, I wanted rook f3, so that now, after this, if they took, that I could hit him with a pretty nasty checkmate combo. E takes f6 looks good, because if there, I have rook h3, and it's unstoppable mate, right? And if the rook slides this way, then I'm able to just give him checkmate like that. So no, I think I needed rook f3, the flexibility to go to g3 or h3. Yeah, rook f6 can be played. The funny thing about rook f6 though, is like, it's not a bad move. I like the idea, but it doesn't threaten anything. What's my next move? The bishop wants to go there. The rook's doing nothing here. I can double the rooks, I can triple. I'm still threatening nothing. So I really don't like rook f6. It's like a good move, but not even close to the best move. Knight there, bishop f6. I think that's how we continue the attack. Knight d2, queen g4, and we just sort of slowly work our way into the position. Wow, look at you. You made it, didn't you? To the end of another Stonewall episode. Well, congratulations. And if you're watching and enjoying, but you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that button right now. Also, click that bell to turn on post notifications so you never miss another video. See you in the next episode.